banner. And I love it because in this situation, there's no people dancing across the screen or sparkles or music or something like that. I often feel like I've spread out a cloth on a picnic table and I started talking loudly with someone because I just have such a megaphone voice. And it's as if Paula came over and said, are you talking about aging? I mean, did I hear you say something about, this topic? And then Enrique came over and he's just going, I didn't mean to eavesdrop. And I would say, oh, you don't have to eavesdrop with me. You can be across the street and still hear everything I'm saying. And then Alka's like, I just drove up and had my window down and heard you guys talking on this topic of talking about aging. I have been told that people are reluctant to talk about something that sounds like their own aging because it's not pleasant. It changes from maybe lighthearted and surface. It starts going deep because of experiences you've had with someone that you know that's aging. And then there's these other people going, I invented something because I cared, because I saw a gap, because I knew, I've created an aging coaching. I made up this thing called aging doula. But that would be a long stint since some people feel like they're starting to age at 50. And a gentleman I talked to last night, his wife's auntie, no, his mom's auntie is 102. And there's no sign that that's going to not make it to 103, 104. So I'm enthusiastic about talking about aging. So Paula, I remember meeting you in a chat column, Tech Tuesday, often about senior living. What are you involved in, and why would you jump in on senior living talk? I actually have not researched you. So everything you're going to tell me, I do not know. So go for it.
Well, good morning. And thank you, Christine, for inviting all of us here to chat about something that we're all dealing with every day, every moment, which is a blessing, really, that we get to age. And so I think we get to turn our perspective around instead of focusing on the negative, focusing on the positive, the experience, the wisdom that comes with age. Thank God, right? My background, I've been working in senior communities for almost a decade. And recently I've changed professions because I found this incredible product that can help people at senior communities. As most of you know, even if you don't work in senior communities, they were hit pretty hard with the pandemic. And there's a shortage of workers. People have left the industry. And the money, they've been hit hard with the pandemic financially and emotionally. We have our seniors who are hurting. Our world is hurting, right? Because of the isolation and the pandemic, but especially our seniors. And I met this amazing woman, Sasha Dawn. She's the CEO of a company, and she created this game, which is fun, so that she could keep connected to her father while he was in the nursing home during the pandemic. And he lit up. It was so fun that they invited other residents to do it. And the beautiful part about it It's technology. It's a game that they're excited to play. You can play on teams or alone. But more importantly, no more isolation, because, you know, somebody's grandson can zoom in from Korea and say, "Good morning, grandma," and play with them on the same team or engage with them. We have to get creative. We have to get creative. And also, people just from their homes can also have the game. So I think it's a time where a lot of seniors, especially, are reluctant to get involved in technology, but we need to embrace it and kind of gather them in and help them along the way, because we don't want them to fall behind. And this is as easy as it's easier than getting on a Zoom call, really. So
Wow.
opening this up to communities to use as marketing that also connects them to all their communities that might be all over the country. But get that vitality, give them, you know, like all of us, we need things to look forward to. It doesn't have to be a huge trip or something, but for our mental health, we have to always have the little things to look forward to. And this is an opportunity to engage with people either in their community or other communities. And I'm just really excited to introduce this, because it also helps solve the problem of shortage of employees, right? Because it's a live host. So somebody pops on the screen and they build relationships with the residents. So it's very exciting, and I'm so excited to introduce it to the communities, because it's financially, it works within their budget, it reduces cost, and it builds relationships. So what more?
The senior communities are scrambling. And even myself, I stopped doing in-person caregiving. Shutdowns did not slow my situation down. For about 2 or 3 weeks, families circled the wagons, and my job was to go into private residences and assist with activities of daily living. For a few weeks, there were a lot of families who said, we're going to wait till this blows over. So we're just going to do all the care ourselves like we used to. And after a few weeks, it was like, nope, come back. And, you know, masked, I wore gloves, did everything I could to make sure if I had anything that it wouldn't pass along. And I had to make the choice to stop because of 3 things that were going on in my own family, and one of which is Mom wasn't eating. Her eating was social. It was 4 meals a week that she was out with other people and then bringing home her leftovers and making that into more meals, and then just supplementing with, you know, her good yogurt and everything in the morning. So I stopped and went to her masked and gloved again, and brought a deep dish apple pie. And that's what I thought of when you said that father of the person who's the CEO of the company that you have latched onto and said, this has got to fly. It's got to grow wings and fly everywhere. When you said that he lit up, oh my goodness, my mother knows how to chew and swallow. She knows, she even still drives and can go get that deep dish apple pie from the restaurant. But having someone there with her and talking about it is exactly what I had done with some of my clients who had a stroke. And we would talk about eating, talk about recipes, talk about preparing, talk about ingredients, talk about smelling it, or what they think they remember that the food smelled like, just to get them to eat. So she says, oh, here comes my caregiver, you know, and I cared. And I was giving the time to discover what it was. And boy, she started making recipes again and enjoying the process. It's been a few years. And so I loved that that was part of it and really missed the people that I was with. Enrique, what an adventurous soul you are, because I invited you to come in and talk about aging. I'm 62. I'm aging. When I was 50, someone said over their shoulder, man, I have got to think about quitting and selling my business. And I said, oh, I'm turning, I'm turning 51. And that person said, oh, yeah, I'm right behind you. I'm turning 50. And I thought, oh my goodness, they're already feeling like I'm a little tired and I don't have the energy I used to have. I should just settle in and retire. Well, that's a huge chunk of life. What about you, Enrique? What have you thought since we started? And are you thinking of retiring, or are you retired?
Well, I am actually retired. I
You are.
retired at 47 and living my best life. I'm only halfway through at 51. So in my household we have a long life, thankfully. Most of my grandparents, I knew my great grandfather, knew my grandfather well, and they lasted in between 80 to 101. So, they have long life. We have long life genes. So I'm looking for a good extra 40 to 50 years. And yeah, I've just started, so I don't know what the whole aging thing is about. Yeah, but no, adventurous indeed. I appreciate you asking me to join you. Aging is something we all deal with. Some deal with it a whole lot better than others. I'm optimistic. I know a couple of that are not, and they're already talking about the aches and pains. But this is the body. We treat the body bad. In our lifetime, we treat it bad, and then it speaks to us later on about how bad we did. But there's always going to be aging as long as you are born, right? As long as you are born, you're going to face aging. Do it with dignity and respect, right? And enjoy it, because as Paula said, we get to live this life. We get to.
Yes.
It's a blessing. And so the easier or the sooner we get that through our heads, the easier it'll be to live it out. But I love aging. I mean, it's one of the benefits that a lot of people don't get.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people. I just spoke to a friend of mine in his household. Him and his wife lost a brother yesterday. Both.
Oh,
He
no.
lost a brother in the morning. She lost a brother in the afternoon. Same day. So I get to live. I get to live. And you have to really, really cherish that. And so as you think about those things, and those that don't get to live this life any further, you become conscious that it is truly a gift, and what are you going to do with it? Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Wow. I've heard that again and again, people talking about, I got to get up this morning, so it's already a good day.
Absolutely.
Yeah, in the
And
Navy, I
that,
used to say, I'm on this side of the dirt, so it's a good day.
do you, when you speak of, in their 80s, there is a cat. You're going to see a cat tail. There's the cat tail. Okay. It is my cat. So he's going to be part of the show today. When you speak about, I just hear this sparkle in your voice when you say into their 80s and over the 100 threshold. and I just hear the sparkle in your voice. You definitely do not sound like a person who goes, I don't want to think about what, things could go wrong. So let's not talk about continuing to live at all. I tend to say persons of longevity, because there really isn't a number for that. This is a person of longevity. And it's like, well, very obviously they have been, using that body for quite a while in my sight. And then there's also people who are just already planning what they will, what they could possibly get into. Like Paula was saying, and I'm holding off on Alka because I'm trying to give her an opportunity to get inside of her house. I'm hoping she's, yep, I see the light. It looks like she's walking. So Paula, when you talk about, I changed from being in senior living as a community employee, worker, what?
Director.
Thank you. Yes. And I've seen this thing, and it's really important, pursuing that. I've had this opportunity to hear people in their 80s and 90s talking about their next pursuit, and not just talking about, I got to get a different lounge chair because this one's, I've been sitting in it for 15 years and it's getting kind of grimy. So I need to get a different one so I can sit and relax and not think too hard because I already did that and I'm done. And so, Enrique, I don't know. I hear this, I don't know, an effervescence in you when you talk about people who have lived for a long time. It doesn't sound tedious. What sort of, is it okay to ask what sort of pursuits you had up into your 40s? And is that still part of your life, or have you turned a corner?
Well, I was in the Navy for 26 years.
Oh.
So that was my pursuit. And it was wonderful. It was wonderful. Great background, great education, great exploits and journeys and all that good jazz. Ups and downs like everything else. But I really, really enjoyed that time. And so I retired from that in 2015 and I've been doing leadership development, which is what I do now. And enjoy it, because you have to get to a point in life where you have to identify what you enjoy. And hopefully that's what you do for the rest of your life. And if you could do that, I think you have half the battle won.
I agree.
That is so awesome. Alka, you are getting settled. I am so privileged that you would make the effort to come to us. You had to drive miles to come to us. You still have your smile. It's pitch dark. You are somewhere in the UK. You could tell me anything and I would be learning something new. But I believe that you work with people who I call persons of longevity, because they are living, they have been living, and they continue to live. Is that right?
Yes, I run a nursing home, which Paula was talking about earlier. And the nursing home is registered for 65 and above.
Oh.
And I've been working there 16, 17 years, fell into the job.
What do you mean?
Fell into the job because people say they've got a liking, they want to work and live and care. Used to sell clothing, jackets. So at the age of 35, I would have retired like Enrique, but no. Come back, started working, got divorced. So I thought, let's get back into studies. Went into accountancy and just nearly started university degree, and then took 2 days accounting work in the nursing home. And that's how the journey started. 2 days, and every time the manager went, because I had business experience. So the journey went from there. So I did my level health and social care, level 7 and level 9. So now moving forward, I've got residents, small home. It's a home to a home. It's not a big establishment. It's an individual. One of the owner who runs it, he's an orthopedic surgeon. And we had 20 beds, but we increased it to 27. For my sins, we had to stop. We started just a year before pandemic started. So we were sitting in rubble and we had to close off half a section. So it was a nightmare. So we ended up having 27 beds now. And we've got lovely residents. That's where it comes from. So that's my journey back now. And we love it. I've got a great team, 22 staff regular. And like Paula said, staff issues. So I've got 22 staff, and I bribed 10 agency staff. So they are my regular staff as well. So like 35 staff. So it's a good team. It's a good team. It works.
Yeah. I'm wondering if you've noticed the same thing that I have, where the most vital people as they're aging are the ones who stay connected. Like they're reading every day, they have relationships, and they have the little things to look forward to. Like we were mentioning before, that they're still vital, they're still happy, have you noticed that as well? Because
I had a 103-year-old whose family used to come every night, and they used to play Scrabble. And they let her win. And they let her win. And they let her win still at 103. And she insisted she walked to the toilet still. No incontinence. Had an incontinence pad right at the last minute. So, but she was an adamant lady. And that family engaged every night. Somebody used to come and put her to bed. And beautiful. The family looked after them until she was 9. I had her for 4 or 5 years. She was 100 with us. So I think just after 102, sadly, she passed away nearly 103. Yeah, engagement is a big thing. Yes, definitely. Engagement is a big thing. Loneliness. A human isn't made to be lonely, is it? So we all need company. And so does an individual. Yes, dementia, not having glasses on, all the things which stops hearing difficulties is which obstructs the people engaging, definitely. But engagement is a big thing, definitely.
Wow. Enrique, I was thinking, you are assisting, helping, encouraging people in their aging, and their age may be lesser numbers than what Paula and Alka have been around, but you are helping them to find or identify their joy, their purpose. There isn't an age where you aren't purposeful. Tiny children will turn and look at their parent and go, I am not playing. This is my job, or this is my business, or, I have plans, and they're already feeling this. What I'm doing is important, makes a difference, is something, Mom and Dad, do I get to do this task? If I get these other things done, do I get to do this task? And you're helping people aging now. Why would we stop? Why would we say, you're done. Just, settle down and, preserve yourself. And it's like, I don't want to be stuck in a jar. My brain is still growing every time I do that. Oh God, I love that they let her win at Scrabble. My mother, 91, said, "You're letting me win at Rummikub." And I said, "No, I'm not. I am a little distracted when I'm playing, but I really want to win. I'm really truly playing against you," because she is at home and she puts out 2 trays and plays against herself and challenges herself. It's something she enjoys, but she was so involved before the shutdowns on this going out to eat with friends was usually after they had stuffed backpacks for the local junior high for students who were showing up without supplies. And so they were stuffing those, making sure, every month to make sure that they had paper and, gathering. And all those things just went whoosh. And they, not able to do it or wasn't sure she should participate. And at this point, she actually said, I'm just not doing things anymore. And I need to encourage her to find that purposefulness again.
Christine, you mentioned the whoosh, and I felt it when you said it. And it usually happens to kids by their parents. It happens to teenagers by their peers and teachers. It happens to young adults at their first job by their first leader. It happens to older adults when they get told that they're too old. Mm-hmm. That whoosh is always happening, And so you mentioned the kids, right? The kids do it automatically. They go for their purpose and their mission and their drive without no inhibition until an adult gets involved and starts to block them and box them, just like our society blocks you and boxes you until that whoosh happens. And we experience that so many times that we then in turn do it to ourselves. And that's how come people are not living their passion.
The negative feedback, right? Self-talk. I think that you brought up a great point too, Christine, that, and I think Alka, you would probably agree, but I don't want to speak for you. So let us know. It's the sense of purpose. I know that people, when we take care of people who have Alzheimer's, they still need purpose. We used to think that, I used to share with my residents, because I worked at a private community and they had to be very successful to be able to live there. Mm-hmm. And I said, I'm sorry that you were told a big lie. You were told that if you worked hard and saved money or invested well, that you could come and live at a beautiful place like this, and then you'd be done and you could just have people waiting on you. And that's not true, because what happens is you deteriorate more and more and more. That is not successful aging. And what successful aging entails is a purpose. You have to still remain a purpose, whatever that is. As Enrico was saying, is that you can now think about what makes you happy and go for that. But even in our memory care area, that the people, just giving them a task as to fold towels, something that they remember doing, and giving them that gives purpose, and saying thank you, asking them for help instead of doing it for them. There's a saying that what you do for them, you take for them. And that's true for all of us, So I think it's very important with aging that we allow as much independence as possible and purpose. And they're still so worthy. They have so much to share, so much wisdom. And even if communication's a problem, we still have so much to learn from everybody. And we have so much to give as we become older. You know, Tuesdays with Morrie, an incredible book that I think is life-changing for those, that he became more and more dependent, yet was giving to the last moment. And everybody is still learning from him who share that. But oh, did we lose Enrica?
Yeah, going.
And he may have suddenly got a phone call. I am grateful that he came in, told us about the longevity in his family, talked, even those last words were just, he understood my whoosh, that they've just taken all the air out of you. They've just, that last, bit of something, I guess, that keeps you floating, that keeps you moving around, that almost is like a wind in your sails, and somebody just stops that wind and says, stay here. I will tell you your purpose, and this is it. There's a person named Anna Hall, and she, oh man, I wish I could just be one of those people that immediately tells you what Anna Hall calls her system. But she will work with a person for several days, all in one block. And she tells the story of a gentleman who moved into a senior community, and he was so good at calling out the bingo numbers and saying, hey, so-and-so has arrived, so let's all do, this thing that they're here for. He was just a great MC. But that deep joy was not there. And he said, she said that what he told her as she went through these series of questions was that what he really notices is the quiet person in the corner, the person who is not connecting, not engaged, not the ones who go, oh, John is talking, and loves to go over and draw that person out. And that was one of his happiest moments, when someone who was newer in the community felt like, I have a friend here now. I am not a stranger anymore. And she just encouraged him to make that, advocate for himself and go, time to find a new MC, a new bingo barker, whatever. This is really my spot. And I'm so glad that she came along, because inadvertently someone said, I see this person's skills. This is what they should do, because they're making everybody else happy. But his deep joy just wasn't there until they allowed him to get some wind back into his sails, and to just seek out that person that isn't they're not hurting anything, but they are definitely not he can sense that they don't have joy, or that they're not able to make this adjustment. And it is a huge adjustment to move somewhere else, especially if you've been in your home for a while. Alka, I bet you have experienced that. Hey, I want to say that Enrique sent a message. Thank you, ladies, for your great conversation. Happy holidays and Happy New Year. Nice. And our friend Victoria Lubriel McCullough, and she's saying, kind of like if you teach a man to fish, You feed him for a lifetime. Just opening the door and having that light go on and that sparkle in the eyes that you talked about earlier, Paula. Oh my goodness. Alka, you are over 22 people, and then there's another 10 or more.
With the staff, yes.
Yes.
7 beds for residents.
27 beds, yeah.
Beds, yeah, and then 30-odd staff, 30, 40 staff. But I would say ageism, when I started working, talking 17 years ago, 15 years ago, I wouldn't accept the death. I couldn't see a person gone, taking the last breath. And I worked 2 days doing accountancy. As soon as somebody would die, I would shut my door when the black cap would come and get them, because we don't allow ourselves to know that we can get old. And we are not in a society as in the olden days. We grew up with grandparents and parents around, so we don't know what's coming forth us. And since then, and when I saw my first death, and I'm sitting with a couple who'd been together 50-odd years together. He was 96 and she was 98. She was still walking. And she came in and she sat on my knees for half an hour. And she said, "You must see this every day, and it must be the same." I said, "No, because every death is different." And I sat on the floor with him, closed his eye for half an hour, and that was my first experience. And since then, I see people coming in 70s looking for their parents, and they're like, "Oh my God, never been in a nursing home. We don't know what old people look like." So I think it's acceptance of ageism should come when we are growing up to know we are going to get old, and this is reality of life. But for some people, it hits it hard, doesn't it? Definitely. That's what I think. So it should be taught. We are working with a lot with communities now, since in the last 15 years, we're bringing the schools in. Well, I had one learning disabilities school, it was younger adults, and they used to come before pandemic for 3 years, Tuesday and Thursday, 3 children, they used to come so they could go back into the community and work. So they had a teacher with them. So that was a good project for us until COVID hit us. And then now we're working with a younger school, age 5 and 6 and 10 and 11. And we had a 100th birthday recently. And the whole school, it was a primary school, we must have got 50 cards. Every class made cards, and 10 children came and sung happy birthday. So then they've taken back, yes, there are old people, aging is there. How do we take it? So we need to teach our younger children aging is okay. So now I'm 51, actually 52. And when I go back to India, it's cultural as well. And my family in India, they'd say, "Oh, you're old, and, slow down your pace, and you're still doing trainings and working." And I say to them, "I'll never be old, because my oldest is 102 at my nursing home." So it is how old.
Oh, okay. I mean, what you shared, I mean, your heart, I see you on the floor. I see you with that 98-year-old who just became a widow. I've experienced it. Paula has experienced it. Caregivers need to be cared about. I hope that you have someone or some way that you can go through the depth of grief of being a person who is missing them, who is grieving. I hope that you have what you need so that
we are building strategies. We build strategies. So my strategy with myself is I go to every funeral. And I don't take flowers. Everybody used to say they used to take flowers, but I said, no, I go with peace, that when they've lived with us, we've cared for them right to the end, and they were peaceful. So that is, and when you go to a God's house, I'm not religious, but I do believe in God. So when I go to a church or a creme, they will say, "Thank you to Alka and the team," or "Thank you to Prince of Wales for caring for this person. Nobody can give you a pay packet, or nobody can give you that much blessings. So for us, how do you put an end to a person is going to a funeral, or putting an end, and making sure the family afterwards is okay as well. So I think we can't get somebody to keep giving us, supporting us, because I'm at the helm or I'm the manager. I have my job to do it to everybody else. But it's just you learn some little coping mechanisms. Just, yeah, it's okay. You've done your job. And you do get close to some people, but you're not allowed to. But that's what care is, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
Definitely.
It's beautiful.
Absolutely. Consuela Marshall is also listening, and listening very knowingly. She's another person that if you two do not already know her and know about her, finding a foothold, because I can see her image that she has next to that. So it helps me to remember what she does. Finding a Foothold is her podcast. And then she's a lot more than a podcaster as well. But I'm so glad that she's listening to you and supporting, talking about aging. And you're, oh my goodness, ageism, thinking of getting old as getting closer to death. Well, that would make anybody back away. Let's just, oh no, let's. Because I start to laugh, and I shouldn't, because fears are real, and it is very fearful for people to go into a home where everyone is way out there, where in a age-wise, where they don't want to think about it, or don't want to experience it ahead of time, and it would increase their fear. That's one gal, Atel Lord, she just goes, it's fear. People are just afraid of age, you aging, what's it going to do to impact me aging. And so I really shouldn't go like that. It seems, I guess, normal and part of the beauty of the tapestry of life, all those different ages coming together. I'm really glad that there are different ages coming together at your nursing home.
Yeah, that's super cool.
We did a pantomime. I'll put some videos up on my Facebook, on Works Facebook. Jack and the Beanstalk on Saturday. I've been trying to do that for a while. So we did. The only thing they didn't have popcorns, because I couldn't have given to the residents. So I sat all the residents all the way around, and I put cushions on the floor. So it's like you're sitting in your sitting room. Brilliant pictures. And an hour and a half, it was mesmerized. So I called all our staff's children as well. And the children were there, and some of the families were there. That, honestly, 2 hours we went, flew by. I don't know how, but I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed the pantomime. I've got one of the guys, he's as you say, the quietest, doesn't like to come out of his room. He was the banter guy. He was the one taking them, what do you call it, out of the two production team. I said, have they paid you to do that? And he kept on saying, well, you've just changed your clothes. You've done this. I said, let them carry on. Honestly, everybody, even if I've got 2-3 people who got, I've got mostly 97% dementia. Today, one of the families visit, they couldn't come on Saturday, and he said he couldn't stop telling them how much he enjoyed. So even though he's got dementia, he still remembers the good time which they had. So Saturday was brilliant for us, and in the afternoon was a dancing party or whatever. So we just carry on as normal you would do in a normal household. Families come or not, it doesn't matter to us. But it is more personalized. And in America, you have the Christmas jumper day 2 days before. So everybody dressed up with their Christmas jumpers. We took their pictures. And so on Saturday, we put all their pictures of jumpers in a Christmas card, like, at the front of the photo card, and give it to all the families. And the families were really pleased. So, and residents liked giving the cards, their own photographed cards, to their families as well. So it was brilliant. I think even though some of them forgot the next day, but at least they enjoyed at that given time. They had a good time, and that's all matters.
It is. It is. I think with aging with our culture, I love that you are bringing the young and people who are older together, and we need more of that. We need more programs with that. And as you were saying, Christine, there's a fear. There's a real fear in our world of aging. And the reason why is because we always connect the dots of the best life with youth, right? And with success and all of this. And we don't focus enough on all the gifts of aging. And there truly are so many gifts. I am 60 and I know I'm going to live for the next 30 years minimum, unless, you know, hit by a bus, heart attack or something like that. And 30 years is a long time. It's a lifetime. You can do a lot in 30 years. So it's far from over, but we need in our culture, especially that we have so many people living older now, that it's a gift and we need to bring them into society and have it be the norm. You know, as you were saying, Elke, where you have the young people and they're interacting and things, and we need to see more people in movies and in a platform like this, Christine. So thank you. Talking about aging, and also having some people that are not, you know, in their 20s and 30s, and show that there's so much value, right? There's so much value in aging and to learn. So I just think that these are all key points. And I've noticed while aging is that I have become sometimes invisible at counters when I'm trying to talk or, you know, place an order or whatever it may be. And I'm very insistent and assertive, but I thought it's so sad when we minimize people because they're older or we speak for them. That's the worst. That's the worst, where you see three people talking and one of them is older and the other two are talking about them as if they don't exist. It's so disrespectful. And so I think all of us have to take our part not to do that, and to be conscious of that and still treat them with respect, and they deserve it. We all deserve it, right? Just for being human. So I think it's interesting points. I think we need more platforms like this, talk about aging, talk about what we can do to make it better, to engage more, to learn more from them. It's beautiful.
A simple, actionable challenge from me. I love doing this, and it's so short, and a person who's not even an extrovert or doesn't feel like they would be good at it, you can do this. You're in a grocery store. A person is going by, and I can see the last time this happened. I saw this gentleman once. There's often a cane hanging from the cart, and there's an outward appearance of, yep, I've been using this body for a while. And all I did was make a comment that was neither positive, negative, didn't need a response. And it was, you know, I saw something going into the cart, and I said, oh, I've enjoyed that product too. And the face comes up and the smile spreads across, and I got the story. Well, I buy these because my wife isn't well and can't do the cooking anymore. And it was only a few moments, but the change that happened simply, what did I say? Oh, I enjoy that, you know, already made mashed potato too. And I said, well, you get to go home and say, don't worry, honey, I'll do the cooking tonight. And, you know, there goes the smile again. And I'm just going, it's such a tiny thing to do. Enrique, you are back. I'm looking down at the screen. I'm glad you're back in here. We talked about you while you were gone.
Well, I was watching. I had to step away, but I didn't want to take up the screen. But I got back in. But no, wonderful, wonderful chat. I really appreciate the time to be able to share this space and the topic. It's affecting everybody. So you might as well learn to deal with the fact that this is happening.
Absolutely. Paula, what is that wonderful? You said it's a interaction with a live person on screen, but a live person rather than just a game going on. What is the name of it?
It's called, the company is Utopia, and that particular game is Spintopia. And it's very exciting. They're trying to guess. There's different puzzles, and we can even customize them for, like, we had somebody who was turning in their 90s, and they got to play with their family members from all over the world. And you could say something like, you know, grandmother's early profession that you might not have known. And so they have to guess letters, and it comes out and there's sound effects. And in the corner, so like this, say like it was all a game, and then just one square is a live host who's talking and interacting and saying, now it's Enrique's turn. And what would you like to guess? And, you know, going on. It's kind of similar to Wheel of Fortune. And there's lights, and there's, you know, there's money, and there's, yes. And it's something they all relate to and they love. So it's, yes. And they can play on teams and communities. They can play on teams, even if they have to be separated. And it's just engaging, giving them some social time. It's a brain game, cognitively stimulating, which we know is very important all the time, but especially as we age. So it's exciting to share. And for me, having worked in the communities and knowing the pain that we go through, as we were talking about, with shortage of staff, budget reduction, lack of engagement many times because of the pandemic, this is something that brings them back in, gets them excited, completely so discounted, practically giving away compared to having somebody come and do an event at your community. Yet you have a partner to build those relationships with. So, because they're positive and they get to know their guests because they come every week. And so it's very exciting to partner with communities now and help solve some of their challenges and problems with them, with innovative ways to engage these residents and give them fun in their life. And like I said, stimulating them cognitively and socially. So it's been really, when I saw it, I just like went ding, ding, ding. This answers so many problems that communities have today. And I just had to be part of it to share and be part of the positive, something positive. So
awesome.
There's always positive, right? There's so much positive coaching that we were talking about today. And
engagement is key. I know some of the homes suffered. Luckily, we didn't lose anybody in our home for COVID. And what we did for the first year is brought us together. We were less residents. We weren't taking any more in because they were not COVID tested. I had to protect my own. So when we were less residents, from 12 to 1, I got everybody to put their tools down, be it a domestic, be it a kitchen, be it in the office. For the first whole year, we would go into the lounge with everyone and we engaged the whole year. I know that was fun, but the second year came all the paperwork, so I don't get to go that often now. But it was brilliant. And we felt, and some of the staff, I changed their rota so they could stay over, so there were no less footprinting. But we found we got a lot closer with the staff team we had than ever before. So I think that was a great advantage. And a lot of FaceTimes, a lot of with the families' engagements were carried out in the first, definitely. Yeah. So I think there's goods and bads, and how everybody runs with the ideas is great as well, isn't it?
I agree.
Exactly. Thank you to my husband, D. Scott Smith, motivational listener. He produces this. He makes it happen. We're at the closing in on the top of the next hour. I need to let him go. I hate to say goodbye. I'm so grateful that each one of you took this moment, carved it out. Enrique, you came back in. There's just not enough time to touch on all these things. Thank you for sharing from your families, your experience. Even in the last few days, I'll go with the pictures with the Christmas jumpers, which Enrique and Paula, do you know what she means when she says a Christmas jumper?
I don't, but I'd love to know.
It's a day allocated, it's Save the Children Day, I think 8th of December, where everyone in the country wears Christmas jumper and donates it to the children. So the money goes directly, gives a chance everybody to dress up. So everybody had beautiful smiles. So we got the Christmas jumpers on and then took those pictures and put them on their Christmas cards for the families.
Are jumpers what we would call sweaters?
Yeah, sweaters. Sweaters with Christmas Santa and logos and stuff like that.
Our ugly sweater.
Yeah.
Yes, the beautiful version of our ugly Christmas sweater, which has become such a thing. Oh my goodness.
It's for a good cause.
It is. It's all for a good cause. I just need to say goodbye and thank you so much for coming, everyone.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for inviting.
You betcha.